Condo podcast with Kathy, Mark, and Burk, talking about movies. Horror, sci-fi, unique, unusual, unknown, unforgotten, forgotten.
Not forgotten.
I forgot.
Not forgotten.
Favorites.
Today we're going to do something a little different, and it's something we've kind of done before, but without actually showing them. But we've talked about favorite scenes in movies, right?
Sure. I mean, that's, I think, why originally we're doing this podcast, because we're huge movie fans. We all come with our favorite movies, or what we normally talk about, genre films mostly here in documentaries, but these favorite scenes of movies can come from any kind of movie. It can come from a rom-com or a drama or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just stuff that really hits us as being something we can watch over and over again as a clip on YouTube or something. It's like comfort food scenes. That's what I think they are.
Yeah, and we're not talking about cinephile, the best movie, scenes in film. Some might be, but this is personal, so we might pick a scene that we just like for personal reasons that isn't necessarily the best scene ever committed to film, but something that touched us personally. So I like the idea of just picking something we like for a nostalgic or emotional reason versus necessarily the best, which we still will do. But that's a caveat for mine, I guess. Is what I'm saying.
It can be a scene that sort of changed your life, that made you say, oh my God, this is great. This movie is great. Or a scene that you feel maybe is a little bit misunderstood or something, or misinterpreted sometimes,
or that you like to talk about. Like maybe it's controversial and you just want to think about and talk about it. So we'll be rolling out these cool scenes for you guys. I think it's gonna be fun.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Is that my big
three-headed coin
disclaimer?
All right, okay, Kathy. All right, why don't you start?
Okay, I'm going to start with the very first favorite scene of this new series that we're doing is going to be Starman with Jeff Bridges. And what's the actress's name? I know everybody knows this. This is my most favorite ever. It always comes up.
It's a John Carpenter film, of course.
John Carpenter,
1984, starring with Karen Allen.
Karen Allen, and Jeff Bridges. She's irrelevant to me in the scene, but that's the way it goes. Okay, so here we go.
She's so good in this movie, though.
People hunt them to eat for food.
Do deer eat people?
No.
Do people eat people?
Oh, no, of course not. What do you think we are?
I think you are a very primitive species.
Ain't it the truth? Oh, I love it so much.
Strike me as a meteor. I could fix you up with a nice haunch of venison. Maybe even a shot of pork if you could. Oh, that son of a bitch.
No!
Hey, what happened to the goddamn deer?
She went there, to the woods.
Okay, comedian. Bingo.
Stop it! You leave him alone.
Butt out, girlie.
He doesn't understand. He's a foreigner. He doesn't speak English.
Oh, what?
Hey! Bingo.
Yeah.
I even get teary. Just her expression of her dewy, watery eyes glowing. It just makes me want to cry right now. Every time I see that, I want to cry. It's so beautiful.
It's a good scene. It really points out something, about that kind of idea of compassion or the other thing, you know?
Well, it's like when you look at us objectively, like Starman is, because he's from another world and he sees us, he's like, why would you do this? Like, it's sort of like, if they don't harm you, if an animal's not harming you, why are you shooting and killing it? Like, and then they have the super primitive, hunter punching him in the nose and being really coarse. And it's like that to me is really a powerful commentary, I think.
Yeah.
And the music, I don't know if Vangelis did that or if it was John Carpenter.
Probably John Carpenter.
Yeah. But it's just the right tone. It's very 80s, but it works for me.
Yeah. Everybody looks so young.
So the whole movie is really good. I mean, it's
really good.
We've talked about this movie before, and one thing we always say about it is it's sort of a forgotten John Carpenter film.
Yeah.
There's like that list of John Carpenter films that everybody knows, Escape from New York, The Thing, those
Halloween,
other ones that we all know.
Yeah.
The Fog and all these great movies.
Yeah.
And but this one hardly ever comes up in discussion for some reason. Carpenter does a lot of science fiction, and this is for sure science fiction. But I think the reason that this one kind of feels like it's sort of outside of his normal categories is the fact that it's sort of a love story too. It's kind of it's a very emotional, romantic, sad story about about a woman who's lost her husband and this alien that comes and sort of genetically hijacks his body. There's a lot to think about in this movie too. Like, it's a bit like that Black Mirror episode where the woman is so distraught that she eventually sort of surrenders and purchases this surrogate of her boyfriend. Kind of, it's that idea. It's like, no, it's not him, but it's enough like him to where it eases your pain. It's a really cool movie.
Yeah. And John Carpenter, this is the only John Carpenter film that was ever nominated for an Oscar. Got a Best Actor nom for Jeff Bridges.
He's fantastic.
It was such a strange performance. It shouldn't have worked, but it totally did. It was
totally does. And it's very much like in the vein of the early 80s, like, of course, E.T. movies. Sort of like it has that vibe of almost a Spielbergian sort of sense to it, I think. It has that kind of, as opposed to more of the typical Carpenter, stuff, which is certainly darker and whatever, something different. So, but it's a movie I loved when I saw it. And Charles Martin Smith and The Crater in Arizona, all that stuff is great.
Yeah. And also, like, if you're listening to this on the podcast and not seeing it on the YouTube channel, which you should check out because you'll see the scene, is that during that quiet kind of music scene, Jeff Bridges is out in the parking lot looking at a deer that's strapped to the hood of a car, and he's resurrecting it basically. So he resurrects it and he puts it down on the ground. It goes jumping off into the woods, and that's why the hunter was so mad, because the deer left.
He got his catch.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful film. It's a film that you can watch again and again, and it's a sweet film.
Yeah. That's my entry.
Good job, Kathy. I like it.
Who's next?
That's a good one.
Well, I can go next, I guess.
All right.
Put mine up.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
So if you're listening to the podcast, you probably got a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of
like,
music. Was that George Miller? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I accidentally put up. For
Yeah.
some reason, I thought it was John Landis, and it was.
No, basically, well, obviously, this is from the Twilight Zone, the movie, which came out in 1983, and I'm a big Twilight Zone fan, so I was really looking forward to this film. And unfortunately, most of the stories aren't very well done. I mean, I don't like the John Landis one. The Steven Spielberg one for Kick the Can is really kind of over the top schmaltzy.
But what about the Toby Hooper one?
There's no Toby.
I'm just kidding. I had the wrong. Okay.
I like the Stanley Kubrick one.
I love the John Carpenter one.
Yeah. The Joe Dante one is interesting, but I still prefer the original version of that one, the Anthony and the, to the cornfield. And this one is the last one. It was done by George Miller. At that point, he only done Mad Max and The Road Warrior. So, but he got to Spielberg said, "Why don't you do this one?" They put it last. It's the shortest one. It still has some problems, but I do love George Miller as a director. I would just watch anything he does. I think he really, you get the sense of being in a plane there. The noise is fantastic. Just the sound effects. John Lithgow was so good in this.
Yeah,
he
he's
just
great.
plays this
He's always
crazy.
good.
It's so
he
good
looked
in
genuinely scared, which is really good.
What's the movie that John Lithgow was bad in?
I know.
True.
Not good.
But it starts out like he's in the bathroom and he's just sort of like talking to himself, and he's just the most frightened flyer in the world. Of course, he's the one that sees this gremlin. And Jerry Goldsmith's score. I love Jerry Goldsmith. I think he's unbelievable, and there's great.
I hope all our
stuff
listeners
there.
enjoyed the music.
Yeah, and the sound effects.
It's a pretty crazy scene, and it sort of wimps out at the end. I don't love that, but this was a time when I followed George Miller, and I was watching this movie going, God, this is not that great. But then this one came on and sort of saved it for me.
The movie came to life. Yeah, and also this movie got a lot of bad press because of the John Landis fiasco.
It's tainted
more
forever
disaster.
because of that.
Yeah, some people died making it, but so now it had kind of a pall over it.
Yeah, Vic Morrow, who was such a great
Morrow.
actor, he died in the first episode, and it was just a horrifying death. Him and two other actors.
I'm amazed they put the movie out with that. I don't think that would happen now. Like that they actually released the movie with that segment still there.
Yeah, and it was recut, and obviously it just didn't work because it wasn't really the complete story. But I do love George Miller, the way his frenetic camera stuff, and so that one is just really just sort of charged me. And I remember, so I still put that on every now and then and say it's fun.
Is great. It was great. Yeah. Okay, Burk.
And I love the idea that there really are gremlins. That's another thing.
Well, that's how I
love
feel
so
when I
much about
fly.
that story.
I feel like that there's gremlins out there and they're going to take me down.
It's
Well,
the
did you see
remake of
Shadow in the
one-
Cloud?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. But anyway, the remake of the William Shatner one.
The one with William Shatner, which William Shatner sort of defined that crazy guy on an airplane seeing something.
That's
on
a
the
great
wing.
scene too.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Oh my God,
The
it's so good. It's
monster
Richard
in that is
Matheson.
really goofy looking,
yeah.
but for some reason it's still creepy. It's it's a dumb looking monster, but it works still somehow. I don't know how. I think I think William Shatner sells it, and that's what makes it work.
He sells it, but also it's just weird because he's just the monster is sort of this dumpy looking guy in an outfit
teddy
with a
bear or
weird,
something.
with a pig face or something.
Yeah.
Snout, and he's sort of just walking on the wing like it's just standing still, and that makes it weird. And this one is more like real elements and what might really be like.
The monster in this one is so great. It's a really creepy monster, and
great puppeteering. I think just really looks really alive.
It is
great. And really scary looking out there on the wing. The backlight and the sparks from the engine.
Anything with planes crashing is just terrifying to me in general.
Yeah.
So if it's a gremlin or if it's the wind, I don't care what it is. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And the way he's slamming down, like he's really slamming down hard. It's like, it's like, whoa, like imagine seeing that,
Yeah.
Oh, it's so scary.
And nobody believes you.
Nobody believes.
Exactly.
All right. So that's mine.
There we go.
I'll take that off. All right, Burke, you're up. Should we watch let's watch this clip next.
Should I do it? Is somebody else going to do it for me, or should
You're
I
going to
do
do
it?
it.
Where is Jimmy?
Jim, go to camera 3.
I love everything about that scene.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
that whole movie.
So good.
that whole movie is a horrible tragedy. It's so sad.
Oh.
And the reason I wanted to show this scene is that this scene just breaks my heart every time I see it. And I feel like I've known that, that what this movie is about is something that those of us who work in the entertainment industry and live out here in Hollywood and live and work in the entertainment industry out here, it's something that we understand, and it's something that you've seen a few times and you don't want to look at. It's like a friend of mine said, it's like looking into the sun. You don't want to, you can't look very long. You have to look away,
Right.
Because it's so sad. It's so tragic. And this movie, I think, is one of the only times it's really been really effectively touched on that. It's sort of like it's sort of the derangement that comes from the artificial storytelling of the entertainment industry. Some people can handle it. Some people understand it. The storytelling, it's all fake. It's make believe. It's a magic show. But other people get pulled into it in a way that it sort of transforms them into thinking that they are the thing. They are this diva. They are this queen and this superstar, this prima donna. And the most successful actors, I think, don't do that. They're like, okay, I'm a regular person.
Yeah.
And this movie is about that, of her sort of being swallowed up by the idea of being a movie star. And this, it's sad. And yet I'm a member of some film noir and some old film discussion lists. And the weird thing is, a lot of people talk about this movie and they say that it's a comedy, and they see the end of this film and they think it's funny. They're laughing. And I'm like, okay,
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think. And I think it's the falling star is so painful. And I think a lot of people that have tasted the heights of stardom and then to see that starting to fade, she just is so desperate, and I think you really feel that, like she's so desperate that in her mind she's just not even accepting reality at all, and she's going to have all these people sort of help keep that sort of fake dream alive, even though it's not really real. And it's a really harsh movie.
Yeah, I don't find it funny at all. I think from the very beginning, William Holden's character, who's narrating this, is dead. And
that right at the beginning. It's not a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler. In the first 10 seconds, you get that, and then of course it's because Billy Wilder is one of the great directors of all time. How many? He has like a dozen stone cold classics, which is this is a very top of the list. And just that ending scene is horrifying. I think she's incredible, Gloria Swanson. But it's just that it only could work if they're like everybody's at the top of their game doing this. That's the way this movie works, and they are.
And Gloria Swanson, like you said, she actually had been that person. She was this beautiful superstar in the silent era, and she really understood what she was portraying in this film. When the talking pictures came in, all this resentment that the silent film stars felt, they were like, oh, they just talk. The
pictures got small.
Yeah.
Well, and also she tries to look like she's 25, and she's dressing up to look like she's a young starlet when she's obviously older.
That is not stopped. I mean, that's sort of ageism and the currency inflation on youth versus age. It's painful to watch. It's still alive and well. It's super sexist. It's awful, and it's still here, and that's just Hollywood. And so that movie has not dated at all, because the same shit is happening. It's not different.
Yeah,
it's exactly
and the
the same.
coldness of the business too. I think is really well portrayed in this film. I love
it's brutal.
I'm going to assume everybody listening to this has seen this movie at least once.
And if they haven't, they should. I mean,
if you haven't, go see it. Yeah. But there's a scene in it where, she's a faded movie queen. She was in the silent films, and she hasn't been in a movie in a long time. And she imagines that she's going to have this comeback. And there's a scene where she gets called by the film studio, and somebody wants to meet with you, and so she goes to the back lot. She goes to Paramount back lot, and she goes to a place that I've worked for many years, and it's like I know what that feels like to go there and how cold and harsh it can be sometimes. And she goes in and she sees all of her friends, and she sees her, it's like the grips and the gaffers and the lighting guys up in the rafters, and one of the old timers up in the rafters recognize her. He goes, "It's Miss Desmond," and he shines the spotlight on her, and
she's like, "I'm a star."
And that shot of her in the spotlight, it's like Billy Wilder is such a great director. He understood where to put the camera and how to stage a scene like that for maximum impact,
Yeah.
Right.
But it turns out, she's going to meet with, Mr. DeMille, and it turns out they don't want her. They just want to rent her car.
Not take it. Yes. So
how
brutal.
perfect is that as a metaphor for what you're worth in the entertainment industry?
It's brutal. It's just brutal. So, well, that was really, it was no Starman, but that was a pretty good movie.
Well, that's. I mean, these are. Sunset Boulevard definitely is something anybody should watch if they haven't seen it.
Everyone should see all these movies.
Yeah.
Sure.
All of them. He's like, yeah, right.
Well, mine is a partially good movie.
Yeah, well, it's one episode of how many are in it? Four episodes.
Yeah.
But so that was this is the first of a series we're going to do of our favorite scenes. And if you have any favorite scenes, please just comment below, and we'll see. We'll talk about them. I'd love to talk about other people's favorite scenes.
If you have a favorite scene and it's on YouTube, and you have you send us a link to it, and we'll show it, and we can comment on it here.
Yeah.
We might we might not have seen the film that you're talking about, but if we watch a scene and comment on it, that might be kind of interesting. It might
we'll name check
trigger us to watch the movie.
That's right, and we'll talk about it. It might be one of our favorite scenes. We don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks so much.
Yeah, be sure and like and please like and comment.
That literally made me jump out of my chair. I was like,
as long as we scared Kathy once an episode, we're good.
I gotta get the heart started. Woo!
That'll wake you up.
Yeah, there you go. Don't do that again.
Well, we're gonna do this again. I think this is fun.
Yes, we'll definitely do it again.
Fun. Yeah.
All right.
So thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.